Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we have our May reading wrap up. I had a pretty good reading month. How about you?
I did 6.
Did you like the books that you read though?
Yeah, actually I really did.
Yeah. I feel like I read some good ones too.
Yeah.
I read 8.
Yeah, I had really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think, let's see, I had 2 3-stars and the rest of them were 5Cs.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a 5-star read from last month. I know, I never get 5 stars out.
That's big credit.
I know.
Big credit.
I know. It's actually the first book I'm going to talk about too.
Okay, let's go.
Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune.
Oh, snap.
This was highly anticipated for me. Her first book, Every Summer After, was a 5-star read for me until I got to like the last couple chapters and I found out like what like the twist was. It's just a trope that I hate, like really hate, and I feel like it wasn't handled as well in my opinion, but before that it was a 5-star read for me, so I know that I like her writing style and the way that she tells these stories, and also this style of story where it's like a small beachy or lake town, and it's, you know, it's the perfect summer read. Like there's a reason it came out in the beginning of summer. It's because it's like a perfect summer read. I actually gave Meet Me at the Lake 5 stars though. I really liked it.
I love the name too.
I know.
Meet Me at the Lake.
And it's really great because I actually love the way that she lays out these stories. And she's not the only author that does this, but like the one chapter is in the present and then one is in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Time jumps.
I do. I love it.
I do too.
So this was a nice like little second chance romance. So this is about Fern and Will. They meet one day in Toronto because he is painting a mural. Is that how you say it? Mural is a name. In a coffee shop that she works in, and they have like this whirlwind day together where they clearly like have this connection, and like it's not like an insta love kind of connection, but it really is like they are like twin flames, and they have like this great day together, but they both kind of have a lot going on. I don't want to spoil too much, but they both have a lot going on, and they make an agreement that in 1 year they're going to meet at her lake house.
Okay.
Because that's where she's from. She actually, her mom owns like a lake resort sort of thing, and she like lives on the resort. They make a pact that they're going to meet 1 year from that day, and she shows up and he doesn't. And then, yeah, almost a decade later, she is now working at the resort and he shows up. And so you kind of get them reconnecting, but also like she's obviously still very angry, but she's trying not to be angry because she's like, it's been a decade and like, you know, we only spent 1 day together. Like, am I being ridiculous? And so it's kind of like she's battling with those feelings, but then you go back and you see the day that they had, and it was like she's not being dramatic. Like they had a connection and he made a promise, but then you see why, like what led him to make that choice, and it's such an interesting book. And I had a really great time reading it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it.
You do have to read it. It was
yeah,
really
I'm gonna
good.
have to read it. That sounds so. I'm so betrayed right now.
I know.
Can't believe you didn't show up.
I was betrayed too. But then if he had showed up, we wouldn't have gotten the book. So.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Okay. First one I read was 70 times 7 by Alex Marr. 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a true crime book. It's about a crime that took place in Gary, Indiana. And it was about 3 young African-American girls who had not really broken into, they really went to an older woman's house. She was a Bible school teacher. She was a big figure in the community, and they had asked her about like Bible school time. She invited them in and she was writing down the information for their uncle, I think they asked. I can't remember the exact details, but they ended up killing her. And this book revolved around the case and then what happened to one specific girl. She was tried for the murder and she got the death penalty. She was 15 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And she got the death penalty. So there were a lot of different things in this book that we followed. At one point, the woman who had been killed, her grandson started petitioning for this young girl to not get the death penalty, to just, you know, like, and he was out there, like, petitioning and, like going to different, like, what do you call it? It's not a, like, picketing and, like, trying to, like, he was out there with, like, everybody and, like, trying to get it. Because did you know until 2003 in the state of Indiana, you could sentence a 10-year-old to death?
And that's just, like, their brains aren't fully developed. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they should ever, like...
No, and...
Obviously, some people are dangerous and are, like, a danger to society, but...
Absolutely.
Them to death?
So, like, this book was very eye-opening for me. Like, and I went to... I was lucky enough to work an event for this author, so I got to listen to her speak about this, and I also was lucky enough that some of the family and some of the people who had worked on this case were also there. So I heard a lot about this case, and it just blew my mind, honestly. I could not believe what I was hearing. It amazes me because, like, obviously there's no, it's so gray. There's no black and white here. There was a crime committed, and yes, she should have served time. She murdered somebody. She came from a very troubled home. She had, the system failed this child, and this child committed a crime, and she should have served time for it. Do I think that she should have been sentenced to death at 15 after this, after we failed her? No, I don't think so. And obviously there were many other people that didn't think so. So it's very, very, very hard to listen to all that. But the book does a much better job of representing all of this than I am right now. And I think everyone should read this book. Also, the author narrates it, and she's so smart, and she did so much research, and she does a great job of presenting all the facts and lots of different, you know, opinions and, like, explaining everything. And she still works a lot on, like, trying to go to different states and, like, work on the death penalty.
That's amazing. And
everything. So Alex Marr is amazing, and you should really check everything out.
And I plan to read the book, and we plan to do a whole video on it. So
yeah,
if you want to read it
really
with
fantastic,
us and then watch the video. So to do a complete 180 from this true crime book, I read a Katie Robert book called Your Dad Will Do. This was porn. I'm shocked you even picked that up. So here's the thing, me too. But this girl that I follow on TikTok, whose recommendations I always really like, said that she really liked this one. She was like, There's more substance than you'd think. And I was like, okay, tea. There was not more substance than I would have thought. But, you know, take it for what it is. I gave it like a 2-star. It was fine for what it was. If you want anything with substance, I wouldn't pick this one up. But if you want to just read smut, sure.
Katie will always do for some smut.
Listen, if you want to just read word porn, Katie Robert.
Yeah, always.
Always.
She's great with that.
Yeah. This is literally about, it's just about what you would think.
Your Dad Will Do.
It's a girl who ends a relationship because he cheats on her, and then she starts a relationship with his dad to get back at him.
Oh? Your Dad Will Do, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay. Huh. All right. Well, next I read Sweet Sin by Savar Miller. That's
That sounds like porn too, is it?
Monsters and Muses prequel. 0.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one we said we were going to start, you know. I read it like that one that night.
Yeah. And I still haven't touched it.
Santana yelled at me like the next day. She was like, "You already you read it?" And I was like, "It's literally like a novella."
Yeah.
I read it. Yeah, it definitely was. No, I gave it 3 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. There was definitely like I was confused. I'm not gonna lie. It like because it says that you don't have to read this before the first book, but it's better if you do, like, because it helps. But the ending threw me really off because now I'm not entirely sure whether or not this happened or if it was a dream. I'm really confused. So once I go into the first book, hopefully I'll understand it a little bit more.
It's Promises and Pomegranates, right? That's the first one, right?
Yeah.
It's the Hades and Persephone. That's the only reason I want to read it is because I love a Hades and Persephone retelling.
And like so it was a short little novella, and it definitely was like more smutty than like there was substance, but it like obviously it was just like an intro, you know, so there wasn't a whole lot. But I am like I gave it 3 stars because the ending, like the very last, like I was left going, I don't know what just happened. Like I'm not sure. So that's the reason I gave it 3 stars really is because it was good, I was with it, and then I was like, wait, what does that even mean? That could just be me. That could just be dumb. I don't know.
I think so.
We'll find out when you and Santana read it. Like that's what I want to know what you two think.
Okay.
After you read it.
Okay.
See if it's just me.
The next one I read was Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. It's number 3 in the Twisted series. This one was, and spoiler alert, I actually finished the series last month. This one was my favorite in the series. I love this one.
See?
Josh and Jules are my fave. They have
Okay.
my heart. Did you finish the second one yet?
No.
Okay, I didn't love the second one. The
But
second
we're
one was
gonna do it.
probably my least favorite. No, it was definitely my least favorite. But I really, really, really loved the third one.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just because I love Josh and Jules.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna read it.
Which if y'all are familiar, you probably know. But Josh is what's her face from the first book?
Ava.
Josh is Ava's older brother, and Jules is her best friend, and they kind of have like this like bullying like they bully the shit out of each other, which just made their story so much better.
So the next one I read was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. It was so fucking good, yo.
So good. I told you it's so good.
It was so fucking good. 5 stars across the board. I was on the edge of my seat. Like, needed to know what happened. Oh my god, it's so good. Alright.
She gets it now.
I get it. She was fucking right. You can play the clown music now, okay? Because so good. So good. So mad about the ending. Oh my god.
That reminds me, I have to give you the second one while you're here. So
I'm
give me the second
so
one. Rain just... So
I even went to go look up... I almost pre-ordered the audiobook because the audiobook's not ready till August. I'm angry about it.
Yeah. I just feel like... After I read ACOTAR, I really felt like nothing was ever going to make me feel that way again, and The Serpent and the Wings of Night did.
Yes. It did. It's such a cool world.
It's Carissa Broadbent is such a great author because I feel like it's one of those fantasy books that I feel like is digestible. I think it's a little bit higher fantasy than something like what are people comparing it to? Like From Blood and Ash.
I was gonna say
people are comparing it to that. It's
higher.
Which I don't get.
I think it's closer to Sarah than
correct because it's
anything
more
I've read.
fantasy focused versus romance focused, but it is definitely a fantasy romance. Like it's got that aspect.
For sure.
I describe it as like Hunger Games for adults, but with vampires, and it's so good.
It's so good.
I read this a few months ago, and I've been bothering her to read it.
It's
I'm
so
happy she finally
good.
did.
So good. I'm obsessed.
Rain just
I
like
love it.
filled the Rhysand size hole in my heart.
I love Rain. I'm upset with him right now, but I love Rain. I love him. So yeah.
Next book I read was Twisted Lies by Anna Huang, which was the last one in the Twisted series. I really like this one too. So my ranking now is like probably number 3, then number 1, then number 4, and then number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So I liked it more. I don't know. But like number 4 and number 1 could be interchangeable for me. Like I liked both of them probably the same.
Okay.
This one is about Christian, this one is a little different because he was not already like involved in like the friend group like with the other 3, you know what I mean? He owns he owns many businesses, but he basically owns the building that God, what's her name? You're gonna really like this one because you're gonna like her. Stella. Do you remember Stella from the first book?
Yeah.
She's one of Ava's friends.
Stella. Of course I'm gonna like Stella.
I adore Stella. And this is about her and Christian, and it's a great book. And if you read Anna Huang's other series, King of Wrath, Christian is friends, I guess, like business friends with Dante from King of Wrath. Yeah, so there's some crossover, and so you get to see people from that world too. I love that.
I love that. I love when authors do that.
Yeah.
Shit. I'm such a baby about it. I love it.
So I did love their story.
Okay. The next one I read was Scorched Grace by Margot Doherty. Maybe.
Sure.
Say it with confidence. This one I gave 3 stars. I was really excited to read this one because it was about... First of all, I was really excited because it said it was a Gillian Flynn mystery.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know how like James Patterson presents? So I assumed it was kind of like that. Like she's got her own like little whatever. So I was really excited. I was like, oh, I want to read that. And it was about a nun trying to solve a mystery at her like convent. And I was like, oh, I want to read that. That's kind of cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was, to an extent. The reason I'm going to give it 3 stars is because I had some issues with said nun's inner monologue. So, anybody can come, like, find themselves again, okay? So it's not the fact that, like, she has tattoos and piercings and that, like, she covers up, you know, that, because she's found Jesus, you know, and she's had this past history of, like, drugs and, like, you know, being a thief and all these bad things that she's done previously. That doesn't bother me because anybody can change their life, okay? It's the inner monologue that bugs me.
Okay.
Because it just wasn't believable to me. Because her inner monologue doesn't seem very changed.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like...
She's not very nun-like.
Yeah. I feel like she's just the same person inside.
Mm.
She just puts on the robe. If that makes any sense.
Maybe that speaks to something, though.
Yeah, so I was having a whole lot of trouble, like, connecting with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I'm not... But, like, the person that we're following is not a nun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how she's in this convent and getting along with all these other people.
Yeah.
And teaching music. She was teaching music. And also she was, like, getting so involved in the crimes, like, with the police. And I don't understand how that was happening either. Mm-hmm. Because, like, they're investigating these murders and they're investigating these fires. And they just wouldn't take this nun with them everywhere.
No.
So, like, that just made it, like, really...
You could get involved in an investigation like
yeah,
that.
it just made it really unbelievable for me.
Yeah.
Especially when they were, like, looking at her at parts of it, like, thinking she was the one who was doing it. I was like, this is not making it very believable.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are like, you know, like, well, it's fiction. It's not supposed to be... But yeah, but, like, make it to a point where I can actually, you know, see it happening.
Yeah.
Because that's just not... That's a little... Make it like Law and Order, okay, guys?
Right. Next one I have is Ignite by Melanie Harlow. I give this one 4 stars. I liked it a lot. Obviously, I'm really picky with like 5 stars though. This one is about Winnie, who lives in like a townhome situation, and then one day next door to her, Dex moves in, who is a firefighter and a single dad, and she, like, immediately upon meeting, she accidentally sets off the fire alarm in her house from like the steam from her shower, and so he comes in because he's a firefighter to, like, you know, do what firefighters do because the smoke alarm is going off, and she's naked because she just got out of the shower, and that's how they meet. like they kind of like briefly meet because he's got 2 daughters, and like the Winnie and the daughters meet, but that's how they like first like speak, like really speak, is because she's, you know, naked waving at the fire alarm trying to get it to go off, or the smoke detector.
That's great.
Yeah, I feel like my biggest complaint with this book is that Dex needed to like get the fuck over himself. Like they're both very interested in each other, but like he couldn't get over the fact that he was older than her, and like, am I holding her back because I'm older? Like, get over it. You know what I mean? He eventually did.
Sometimes
But it
they be
was,
like that.
yeah. But otherwise, like, I actually kind of really liked it. I found their relationship like really funny because she is younger and kind of like a kid at heart, and she really gets along with his daughters, and he's very like kind of grumpy, and you know, he's a former Navy SEAL, and he very much has like that sort of like, yeah, he's like a straight edge kind of attitude, and so I liked them together.
Okay. All right. The next one I read was You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose.
I want to read this one.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good.
We went to a signing for that book.
I thought I had this book figured out many times over. And I'll tell you, man, the endings. She gets me with these fucking endings. This one, I really didn't see coming.
Okay.
I still feel like with The Perfect Marriage, she like blew me out of the water. But really, I really did not see this one coming.
Okay. Did you like this one more than The Perfect Marriage?
I don't want to say that because,
okay,
like, I feel like they were 2 totally different experiences, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, The Perfect Marriage gave me a feeling of the wives.
Mm-hmm.
This one felt like something completely different. And I can't put my finger on it.
Okay.
But I definitely think you should read it.
Okay.
At parts, I kind of thought it was a little slow, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think this might be too straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
But girl.
It was not.
No. No, indeed. I don't know how she comes up with this shit.
I don't know either. I want to write a thriller so bad, but I feel like I would just make it so obvious.
I don't know how she comes up with this shit, but I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
girl, this was another 5-star for me.
She does it again.
She does it again. Shooketh. I was shooketh.
Mm-hmm.
That was another one where I was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Speaking of 5-star reads, I have another one.
You did something that I needed to read that, yeah.
The next one I have is Perfect Strangers by J.T. Gessinger, I think is how you say it. I fucking love this book. This is going to be like one of my top books probably ever, but especially this year. Now you look at it and you look at the cover and you think you know what it's going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
When you think you know what this book is about, no you don't.
Okay.
No you don't. And I feel like I'm trying to think of what I can say without spoiling it. Because I went into this pretty much completely blind, because everybody else in the reviews were like, don't read any, like, read this review and like don't read anymore, because like you can't, some people might spoil it and you have to go into it blind, and I totally agree. But like I said, when you think you know what the book is about, you absolutely don't know what the book is about.
Okay.
I don't even want to give you the synopsis.
Okay, alright. I will not look at anything.
But it was easily a 5-star read for me.
I will not look at anything, and I will read it.
Mm-hmm. It's not for everyone, but it was definitely for me.
The last one that I read this month, which was stupid, because I had just read it the previous, was Clash of Kings, again, by George R.R. Martin.
We are slowly but surely getting through the Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm. I felt like I did not take away as much the first time I read it. I just listened to the audiobook, and I didn't think that I absorbed as much of the book. And then I was confusing things from the book and the season. And going into the third book, I really felt like I needed to have a good grasp on everything from the second book. So I went back and I started the second book again. And I reread it. And I'm glad I did, honestly, because there's definitely parts that I feel like I missed just listening to the audiobook. So I read the physical copy this time. And then now I'm in the third book, and I'm glad that I reread it, actually. It definitely probably took up a good chunk of my month. Like, so I didn't get as many other books done, but I'm glad I did it because I'm in the third book. I feel like I definitely know what's going on a lot better, and I'm actually really enjoying the third book.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad.
Yay. I have 2 more. They're both by Elle Kennedy. Elle Kennedy has been blowing up recently, and I read some of her books like years ago, so I kind of wanted to reread some of them, especially The Deal, which I think is probably her most popular one.
Mm-hmm.
So I reread it, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I really like Garrett and Hannah's story, and I just think it's like a great, if you're looking for like a new adult romance, Elle Kennedy is just one of those that you can go to and you know you're going to enjoy. You know what I mean? It does tend to be like a little bit like formulaic, but like I feel like a lot of romances are like that. I don't think that's a bad thing, because you know what you're going to get, and I was in the mood for something like that, so
Yeah.
it worked out really well for me. I really liked it. And the last one was also by Elle Kennedy. It was The Dare, which is the 4th book in the Briar U series. I don't believe I read this one, and so I think this was the first time that I read it, but I can't definitively say because they all are kind of similar, you know? They're all like new
They
adult
all
romance
blend
books.
together, yeah.
And so like this very well could have been the first time I read it, but I could have also read it before. But I did like this one. I would say I'd probably give this like 3.5 stars. I didn't like it as much as the Deal, but I did still like it. You know, it's a new adult sports romance.
Yeah.
They're very similar to me to the Candy Steiner series that I really like, except I like Candy Steiner a little bit more.
Okay, so that is what we read in May. Comment down below, let us know what you think. Hit that like button and subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you know when we post next. Bye.